So our title today, Lighting the Flame Within. So I'll just say a few words, a few thoughts, and then we'll open up for questions and answers. So we are in the month of Kartik, and this Kartik month is a very special, very auspicious time. We know that this month is very dear to Srimati Radharani. We know this is a time in which Krishna engaged in his very sweet pastimes in his form as a child, Damodar Leela. And we also know that this is a very powerful time because this is a time where the devotees really try to take advantage of the blessing. 1,000 times the benefit for one's devotional service. We want to take advantage of that blessing in order to accelerate our devotion and become more pleasing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, what do? As devotees, we will recite Damodarastakam, these 8 prayers glorifying Krishna's Damodar Leela. At this time, Prabhupada has said that we will offer a candle to Lord Damodar, Yashoda Damodar. So we are making these offerings. We also know that this month is a very powerful opportunity for us to accelerate our devotion. We know this is a very powerful opportunity for us to really deepen our devotion, deepen our faith, and make stronger progress in our spiritual journey. So now the question becomes, how do we take not only the special blessings of this month, but how do we take the power, the privilege, the potency of our spiritual life, and how do we internalize it? How do we use it in such a way that it literally leaves a memory or memories on our hearts? Many of us as devotees, we become stronger and we derive strength from our spiritual experiences. When we're engaged in really powerful kirtan, when we're engaged in very powerful spiritual association, when we're engaged in hearing classes or reading that really inspires us, they leave impressions. And those impressions are literally a record of our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whenever we recall those experiences, that recall gives us determination, it gives us inspiration, it gives us enthusiasm, it literally gives us a spiritual jumpstart, spiritual strength to, with determination, keep going in our spiritual life. So, what we wanted to explore today is something around this topic. What we want to explore today is literally how we can ensure that we do devotional service, not only during this month of Damodar, but throughout our entire spiritual life. How do we do devotional service such that we position ourselves to have maximum transformation, maximum impact internally from our spiritual practice and our spiritual activities? How do we do this? How do we gain maximum enlightenment from our devotional service? So we're going to take this first in the opposite direction. What happens when a devotee engages in Krishna consciousness in such a way that they do not open themselves up to the gift? if we live devotional service in a very in a very scattered way, in a way that we don't really direct our hearts, our minds, our intelligence positively to devotion, then we may become devotees who've been practicing for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and still feel that we're not progressing. We may become devotees who feel that we're doing so much and experiencing so little. The question is not just whether we're doing devotional service, the question is, how are we doing devotional service? So there are two things. There's the medicine and the method. There are many people around the world who have struggled with a particular illness, struggled with some health situation, and they've approached their doctor, their medical professional, and they've received expert help, expert guidance, expert, let's say, consultation or treatment, expert medicine, top quality medicine, and their health situation has still not improved. Now, the question is, how can that be? How can it be that you've consulted top medical experts? They've given you exactly the right medicine, which is potent and able to cure our illness. And yet you still see that the person is not recovering. One of the reasons for this is that they've got the medicine, but they don't follow the method. Every type of medicine also has a methodology, meaning a way that it's meant to be taken. So we all know this, right? We all know you get some kind of, let's say, some kind of medicine for a cold or for the flu. Okay, so you take the medicine, but you look on the packet and it says this medicine is meant to be taken, twice a day before a meal. Okay, so twice a day before a meal. So someone has a medicine, they take it exactly according to the prescription, and therefore they get one effect. But someone else is offered the same medicine, same prescription. Now, two things can happen. One type of individual takes the medicine, but they don't take it according to the prescription. Another person, they don't even take the medicine at all, which is really unfortunate. So the art of effective healing is to take the potent medication and take it in the correct way. Now this, for us, as those who are engaged in Bhakti Yoga, this is analogous. This is analogous for us. We have this powerful medicine of Bhakti Yoga, of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. But the second factor is, okay, now you've got the medicine. Now it's a question of how expertly we take the medication. We know in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the mind has to become the best friend. And if we don't make the mind the best friend, it can literally be our worst enemy. Now, this is important because taking the medicine in the right way means taking the medicine in a way that completely engages all that we are. Taking the medicine in the right way means taking the medicine in the way that we fully offer everything that we are to the Lord. Because revelation and realization is what? It's a gift that comes from surrender. So as we offer everything to the Lord, as we offer everything that belongs to Krishna, as we offer it back to him, something amazing happens. Krishna says, Yeyatamam prapadyante tam sateva bhajameaham mama vatmanivartate manusya pavasavajaha. He says, as you surrender unto me, I will reward you accordingly. It's a very, very deep teaching. As you give, as you have faith, as you open yourself up to Krishna, he reciprocates. And that reciprocation is exactly the thing that builds a relationship. So there's a key. There's a key that we're practicing during this Kartik month. There's a key that we're practicing during this month, that if we can expand this practice, expand this key beyond the month of Kartik, not only will we have an explosive and positive experience these months, these weeks, but the experience will spill over into practically every area of our life, our mind, our emotions, our intelligence, and ultimately our very devotion for Krishna. So what do I mean by this? So we know that we want to achieve this goal. We want to attain Krishna. We want to please Krishna. We want to love Krishna ultimately. It's very interesting that the way this month of Kartik works is that we have very distinct activities that we do. So two particular goals, along with, and different people have different things here. They may be doing additional rounds, additional reading, whatever it is, along with whatever personal commitments we have. We're every day reciting Damodarastakam, and we're offering a lamp to Yashoda Damodar. So what we've done factually is we've added additional goals to our routine. Okay, so today I'm going to make sure I do this and I do this. Now I want you to take a moment to just tune in. And I want you to notice what happens during this month to your mind. When we have certain specific intentions, commitments, goals that we are striving for at a particular time, what many of us notice is that it allows us to literally harness our energies more effectively. We have mental energy, we have emotional energy, we have physical energy. But too many times in our lives, we allow the energy that we have, which is ultimately our offering to Krishna, potentially, we allow those energies to become scattered. So, we just go from morning to evening, in a scattered way. I may just do something here, I may just do something there. It often becomes unfocused and therefore somewhat whimsical. But the time, the energy that we have are extremely valuable. Because as we know from Chanakya, even a moment lost can never be gained again, even from millions of gold coins, pounds, dollars, whatever you name it. So our time and our energy is extremely precious. So we know that Krishna reciprocates with us based upon our thoughts, our particular actions. We have this goal that we want to attain him, we want to attain love for Krishna. But we also know that that is a long-term journey. That is a long-term aim. So between the ultimate goal and where we are now, how do we transform our energy, our time, in such a way that it really facilitates us having the most deep, powerful, and transformative experience. One of the key strategies that all of us are actually automatically using now, but should always be using in our spiritual life, is the strategy of, we could call it either goal setting or commitments. Okay, short-term goals, short-term commitments. Just like in this month, every day I'm going to recite the Damodarastakam. I'm going to offer a lamp to Yashoda Damodar. So I'm making a certain goal that I'm going to attain, and that goal is very interesting. It's realistic. It's a specific goal. It's within my area of control. It's something that I can actually do. So realistic, specific, achievable. And every time I do this, I know many of you on the call, you'll remember previous years, previous Kartiks, and you'll remember thinking, yeah, that year I remember I was able to do the prayers to Lord Damodar every day. I was able to offer a flame, right, a lamp to the deities, to write the Yashoda Damodar every day. And you felt good about it because when you woke up and when you were going through your day, you knew you had a specific, achievable goal, a particular objective that allowed you to meditate and to focus your energy and to feel good, knowing that you were moving towards that goal and that you were able to meet and maintain that commitment. Now we see the same thing in terms of successful athletes. They often have intense goals for a very long period of time. And what that does is it involves training, it involves discipline, but they're building up. As they're hitting that target every day, as they're practicing the discipline to keep time and space and energy and focus on that goal, then what happens is over time, they increase their determination. They increase through practice, through intense practice, they increase their expertise. We know that no one becomes an expert overnight. It is daily focus, practice, pursuit. Even when we look at high achievers in athletics, we see that they may have side pursuits, but their sport remains their major or their top priority. To win gold in the Olympics, the athletes need to regularly practice and they need to regularly set those short-term goals, or, and this is where it's important for us, or our ultimate goal will always be a theory. We'll have this kind of long-term, distant, unclear, confused, ambiguous idea. Yeah, I'm going to achieve love of God someday, somehow. But in our day-to-day activities, we will not be harnessing properly our energies. So a long-term goal without a short-term strategy means that the ultimate goal will be too ethereal. And in addition to that, a long-term goal without the short-term strategies means that we will not feel ourselves to be making progress. The process of our devotional life has 8 stages. We start with Shraddha. When the faith, the Shraddha, increases and intensifies, it becomes Sadhu Sangha. We have enough faith to spend time with the devotees, hear from the devotees, take guidance from the devotees. When that faith intensifies and increases, it gets to the next stage, which is Bhajana Kriya. Now we have enough faith not only to hear from the devotees, but to practice the spiritual practices that will get us further on the goal. So Bhajana Kriya. When the faith intensifies and becomes more refined and purified again, then we have enough faith to clean the heart. And as we clean the heart, we will see all kinds of impurities coming up. And for the faint-hearted, those impurities will make them think, you know what I'm seeing in myself, the weaknesses, the immaterial attachments, the negativity, it scares me. Someone with weak faith, they'll think, okay, this is too much. I'm going to check out now. But someone who keeps developing their faith, the faith becomes so strong that what happens? They go from bhajana kriya to anartha nivritti. I've got enough faith to even face my inner demons, face my inner weaknesses, and keep pushing through. And by keeping that process going, we come to nishta. So from anartha nivritti, we get to nishta. When the faith intensifies and increases and it becomes even purer, we go from nishta to ruchi. Then from ruchi to ashakti. From ashakti to bhava. And from bhava, we attain prema. That means that the transformation of the devotee is literally the journey of faith. In fact, faith and surrender are synonymous. Faith gives focus, and faith reduces fear. If you have strong faith, you have strong confidence. Therefore, you can't be fearful. If you have strong faith that this is the right thing to do, it automatically leads to strong focus. So just like you see a devotee who's able to chant really attentively, what does that mean? It means their faith in the holy name has accumulated. It has built up, it's increased. And because it's so increased, it's like, I can just focus on that because I know that's where the value is. That's where the nectar is. That's where the result is going to come from. So faith means focus, and faith defeats fear. Whatever you have faith in, that's what you focus on. And as you have more faith, you automatically lose fear. Now, another thing, when we bring this all together, we know that Krishna says, as you surrender, I'll reward you accordingly. So that's one point. We also know that Krishna says in the ultimate instruction in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharma prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papibhyo moksha yishami masuchaha. He says, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender to me. I will protect you. Do not fear. I will protect you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. The more we give ourselves to Krishna, the more we surrender to Krishna, the more he reciprocates. And what is his reciprocation? It's that internal spiritual advancement, revelation, and experience. The more we put ourselves in the hands of the Supreme, the more we're guaranteed to experience incredible miracles internally and externally in our spiritual life. And the building block again is faith. So now, we know all of these things, so now the last question. What do I do practically to develop that faith on a day-to-day basis? How can I do this practically in a way that really works? And this is what we're talking about when we talk about that commitment on a daily basis, that goal or those goals on a daily basis. When we have regular commitments, as I said again, just as we're doing Damodar Rusticum or we're offering the lamp, when we have regular commitments, regular activities, regular goals, that starts to focus our mind, emotion, our mental energies. It increases the intensity of our meditation, and it opens us up as we have one success after another, because now we've given ourselves something to do that's devotional, that could absorb our gift of time, our gift of energy, our gift of emotion, our gift of physical strength, physical energy, our gift of intelligence. We can offer these to Krishna through having the right commitments and the right goals. In the Mahabharata, we know that Arjuna and the Pandavas were given a test by Dronacharya. And his test was, he wanted them to shoot the eye of the bird. So he called the Pandavas one after the other. So first Pandava, okay, I want you to shoot the eye of the bird. Can you see the tree? Because the bird was on the branch of a tree. First Pandava said, yeah, I can see the tree. I can see. Dronacharya said, stop. Sit down. You're not going to, I don't want you to try and shoot. Next Pandava, can you see the tree? I can't see the tree. Can you see the branch of the, I can see the branch. Okay, stop. Dronacharya told him, okay, sit down. You're not qualified to shoot. Next person, again and again, some of them could see the tree, some could see the branch, some could see the body of the bird. And each one, as they came up, he said, okay, then I don't want you to shoot. Last but not least, Arjuna came up. Dronacharya said to Arjuna, Arjuna, can you see the tree? I can't see the tree, Arjuna said. Dronacharya said to him, okay, can you see the branch that the bird is on? Arjuna said, I can't see the branch the bird is on. Okay. Dronacharya said to Arjuna, Arjuna, can you see the body of the bird? Arjuna said, no, I can't see the body of the bird. So Dronacharya asked Arjuna, okay, what can you actually see? Arjuna said to him, all I can see is the eye of the bird. And this is extremely significant for us, because it's the power of that focus on a very specific goal, which allows our energies to focus in and to be brought together for a specific goal. And when our energies are brought together like that, it allows you to have much, much more impact. I remember as a child, when it was summertime, I had a magnifying glass, and I would concentrate the sun's rays, and I would focus those rays, and I could actually burn a mark on leaves. I could get a leaf, use that sun's rays, use the magnifying glass, focus it in, and literally burn a mark on the leaf. I remember that very clearly, doing that on more than one occasion. And our energies and our commitments are like that. So when we start to live our lives with regular commitments, regular practices, regular goals, then what that does is it allows us to feel a sense of progression, a sense of progress. Now, in modern psychology, they found that your emotional state has a lot to do not with the goals that you set, which is interesting. It's not to do with achieving the goal, which is interesting. Our emotional and psychological state has a lot to do, or literally many things to do, with a feeling that we are progressing towards something that we deem to be meaningful. And this is incredible, because this point is in essence the point that Krishna tells Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, these people you see on the opposing army, they're dead. I have deemed it to be so that they're going to die, but I want you to be my instrument. I want you to focus on the endeavor, but be detached from the outcome. I want you to do your best and leave the results to me. Extremely powerful. When we actually live our lives and we have on a day-to-day basis a game plan, attainable targets. So it may be I want to read a bit more today, and that's what I'm going to do for the month of Kartik. I'll do an extra reading. For someone else, I may want to chant additional rounds for the month of Kartik. Just that sense that we're progressing towards meaningful goals is extremely powerful and significant. Why? Because Chanchalahi Mana Krishna. Bhagavad Gita explains the mind is chanchala. It is flickering. It is obstinate. It is very difficult to control. But if we on a day-to-day basis, set ourselves, and I do emphasize on this, meaningful, short-term, realistic, and achievable goals. If we do this on a day-to-day basis, it will allow us to harness our mental energies, and that journey towards prema, it will be a dynamic and inspiring adventure, because every day we know by the goal that we're setting, the goals that we're setting and achieving, we're coming closer to the ultimate goal. If we don't live a life where we have meaningful activities and a focus through these short-term goals, through these daily goals, then because our energy is scattered, we may find that after 10, 20, 30 years, we've not got anywhere near to the advancement that we could otherwise have had. There's a proverb, if you don't know where you're going, any goal will do. If we don't break down the ultimate goal of love of Krishna into short-term meaningful goals that we work on a day-to-day basis, we may become like people who turn around and one day and even start to question, does this process work? Because I've been practicing it for many years and nothing seems to be happening. No, again, the medicine and the method. We have the medicine, but how do we take the medicine? That's the secret, that's the method. If we don't live a life where we focus our energies, if we don't plan, then Maya plans for us. If we don't think about, today, I'm going to focus on X, Y, and Z, moving forward, it could be a great project. It could be an inspiring presentation you're going to do. It could be researching a particular topic. If we don't have these regular daily steps, something that's meaningful, and not just meaningful, but inspiring for you. We're all unique individuals. If we don't have something that's meaningful and inspiring for us, then of course, like the majority of the world right now, what's going to happen? We're just going to be drifting and distracted. What is it that the term that I think Radha Maharaj used? Weapons of mass distraction. Why mass distraction? Mass distraction occurs when we're not anchored into meaningful activities on a regular basis. That's why I've got nothing to do. So therefore I'm going to look at my mobile phone and just drift on social media. Just drift into one site to another website, one video to another video, because my day was not set up with meaningful, realistic, and inspiring short-term goals. Something I could do practically. Let's say you were going to give a presentation to a group of students. Then on Monday, your short-term goal may be, let me brainstorm the topics I can speak about. On day 2, it may be, let me put together some research by reading 1 or 2 books for an hour on that topic. Day 3, it may be, let me get a friend of mine to make a poster to advertise the presentation. So every day, what you're doing is you're building towards your ultimate goal. I'm going to deliver this presentation, but you're building it every day, step by step, in small, meaningful activities, which engage your energy and which build upon themselves, so that when you come to the day that you're going to deliver the presentation, by that day, not only have you done the research, not only have you written out your notes, not only have you planned the slides you're going to use, not only do you have the poster, but you've even given the presentation. You've given your own powerful and personal realizations on that subject. And you're now able to deliver something that has real power and real potency, not just for your audience actually, but for you yourself, because you were absorbed in the entire journey from start through to the offering. You were excited You learned new things. Your energies were focused. You were absorbed. This is the real meaning of Sankirtan. Sankirtan means collective chanting, but it also means engaging everything in the Lord's service. Now there's an esoteric point here. Most devotees, when we talk about engaging everything in the Lord's service, they think about, okay, I can engage my phone, my computer, my money, etc. That's one lens. That's the external lens of engaging everything in the Lord's service. But there's an internal lens. There's an internal lens of engaging everything in the Lord's service. Krishna says, Bhumya punalavaya kamana buddhievacha. Ahankarityami bina prakriti ishtada. He says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. He says, these are my separated energies. So the first 5 are gross. Then the other 3, they're subtle. So engaging the mind, right? Engaging everything that we are, the mental energy, intelligence, the buddhi, engaging that in Krishna's service because that's what we are. Engaging the ego, my sense of identity in Krishna's service. We could also say engaging the emotions in Krishna's service. Full, total engagement. Engaging the physical energy in Krishna's service. This is also another way in which we surrender everything that we have. It's by surrendering everything that you are. And if you do that regularly, you're giving more. So Krishna is also going to reciprocate more. And that reciprocation are those powerful, those special, those intimate exchanges between you as a spiritual individual and the supreme personality of Godhead himself. Let's think about this a bit more. If we don't have these meaningful goals on a day-to-day basis, then what happens is you can, and devotees often go through this, unfortunately, some devotees, they can start to feel bored. They can think that they've got this ultimate goal, but it's just completely far away. They may feel that, I've been practicing for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I don't seem to be going anywhere. They may not feel that their energies are absorbed. They may start to feel that actually, I feel embarrassed. I feel like, what is it they call it now? Imposter syndrome. Someone may have an imposter syndrome, devotee imposter syndrome, where they've been doing something for so long and they feel I should be at a different space, but the truth is I'm not. Because again, the energy hasn't been harnessed. The offering hasn't been focused. Now, the converse is also true. When we have regular short-term goals on a daily basis, it absorbs our energy. We feel more comfortable as we pass through year after year in Krishna consciousness. We feel that we're getting somewhere, we're progressing, we're achieving something, we're moving forward. And in this way, we feel more excitement for the journey. We feel more adventurous in our journey. We feel more achievement in Krishna consciousness. And ultimately, we feel more commitment and more confidence that Krishna is there. Because when I give everything, I receive reciprocation. And when I receive reciprocation, the teaching is no longer a theory. I'm not like, I believe in God. No, because you're giving, he's reciprocating and responding even more. Now it's like, wow, I had this wonderful spiritual experience. Wow, I had this amazing spiritual experience. I had this amazing realization. In other words, it's no longer a theory. It's a fact. And that just builds upon itself again and again and again in our spiritual life. So this is really powerful if we can understand this. The surrender is a process, and it's something that we want to be here and do and progressing in the long term. You see, that's the point. We want to do this in such a way that we move forward in the long term. We don't want to become like those who are either in religious circles or spiritual circles who start to feel a sense of disappointment, who also may even feel some anxiety, because that energy, what is anxiety? Sometimes it can be understood. That anxiety is a restlessness, it's an energy which I've not given a positive and constructive outlet for. And therefore, I feel restless, and then I just feel a bit tense inside myself. We've all seen this. Sometimes a person feels some restlessness or some anxiety, and if they start, even if they just do some exercise, it goes away. Why? Because it's an energy coming up that needs to be directed and harnessed constructively. And this is the magic of spiritual life. How to make a conscious choice. If people don't know about spiritual life, they can only at best engage their energies materially. And in many cases, they won't even do that so well. But your energy is like money. The money can be invested materially or spiritually. If you invest it materially, you can often make a bad investment, right? So bad investment, you lose all your money. Like neutral investment, you invest it and you get some material reward. But the best investment is that you invest in such a way that the result and the reward is eternal. And that is the offering of Krishna consciousness. So when we do this, we're able to engage in that way, which gives us more excitement for the journey. When we develop a passion for certain goals, especially goals which inspire us, which are realistic, which are according to our capability, our talents, our gifts, not only does it benefit us, but think about a community. Well, if you had a community of devotees who were all doing this, so when you see them, you feel inspired, you feel energized. Why? Because they're carrying engagement and enthusiasm. Because they're enthusiastic about the goals, activities, practices, services that they're doing, their enthusiasm in their service spills over in the environment into everyone. Because they're super excited about their spiritual life, you start to pick up on the excitement that's going on within their hearts. The opposite is that if we do devotional service grudgingly, if we do it mechanically, you've all seen people like this, unfortunately. We've all seen devotees, it's boring, I've got to do that service again. They're doing it grudgingly, they're doing it mechanically. And that negativity, that lack of enthusiasm also starts to spill over into the environment. And this is also, interestingly enough, and you'll find this interesting, this is also why spiritual communities can have lots of politics. What happens? Why? How can we connect the two? When we do not have sufficiently positive outlets for our time, energy, emotions, mentality, skills, talents, intelligence, Maya will engage those things that you do not engage in Krishna's service. Right? So you're not speaking enough about Krishna. What do? You end up gossiping about devotees. You're not using your intelligence to strategize how to pioneer and innovating spiritual life. So what happens? Your intelligence, it just becomes sidetracked into planning mundane activity. Right? Planning sense gratification. You're not using your mind, or let's say even your emotions, to call out in amazing, blissful kirtan, where you feel yourself calling out to Krishna with your heart. Because you're not doing that, your emotions are now captured by some devotee who said something to you, and now you're emotionally disturbed, you're angry, you're negative, you're bitter, you're resentful. If you don't engage your energies, Maya will engage the energy for us. It's extremely powerful, simple but profound. So, We really need to understand this. And we see this even in the Olympics. People who've harnessed their energy properly, they're high achievers. And their high achievement starts to inspire other people to come up to a higher level. So it's so important to be like that. And if we don't, we may even become devotees who are intimidated, fearful of, again, imposter syndrome. I'm not at the goal, but now I'm going to pretend I am. I'm going to fake it. So we want to connect with authentic short-term goals, to harness our minds to serve Krishna so that our appreciation for Krishna increases. And I'll stop here and I'll just give you one exercise. I want you to think about what inspires you in spiritual life. And you can think about it in terms of this month of Kartik or even generally. What inspires you? I want you to also think about to the degree to which you are engaging your energy. Sankirtan from the inside. Am I engaging my intelligence enough in Krishna's service through reading, hearing, learning the philosophy, planning how to strategizing, how to share it? Give yourself a rating out of 10 for how engaged your intelligence, your intellectual energy is in Krishna consciousness. Okay? 10 means it's fully engaged. Less than 10 means there's opportunity. So that's intelligence. Give yourself a rating for how much your emotions are constructively or positively engaged in spiritual life. Right? In other words, do you find, and one way to understand this, do you find that you're easily disturbed by devotees, by other people? Something happens and you get angry, you get irritated, you get you're emotionally disturbed and volatile? Or do you find that your actual emotions are really experiencing lots of positivity, gratitude, appreciation, wonderful social interactions with devotees where you're encouraging them, they're encouraging you? How much is your emotional energy engaged at the moment? So intellectual energy, emotional energy. Let's go to physical energy. How much is your physical energy engaged? Are you sufficiently active physically in devotional service? Are you dancing enough in spiritual life? Are you physically looking after your deities, cooking, engaged in physical activities for Krishna? Give yourself a rating out of 10. So emotional energy, intellectual energy, physical energy. How much of these being engaged properly? And then also talents. So the talents that you have that can be engaged, how much are you engaging your talents in Krishna's service? Okay, give yourself a rating out of 10. And then the last one, how much are you engaging your time in Krishna's service? And by the way, when I talk about time, I don't mean mode of passion where people burn out and they can't function because they've been running around too much. I'm talking about doing it according to Krishna's teaching. A balance between work and recreation, a balance between eating, sleeping, a balance between, all of those different activities. So it's balanced, but it's all engaged in Krishna's service, because we can even do recreation for Krishna. You can be just listening to a good class. You can be hearing a good kirtan. That can also be Krishna conscious recreation as well. So how much are you engaging these different dimensions? Because where you're not engaging them in Krishna's service, Maya will easily engage them in her service. And rather than going up, we can stagnate or we can go down. And as we said, the more we surrender, the more Krishna reciprocates, so that we start to have powerful inner experiences. Your realizations and your spiritual experiences in spiritual life, they're not coming from our endeavor alone. We know Damodar Leela, effort and mercy. They're ultimately a gift from Krishna in reciprocation with our efforts to surrender. So we've talked about how much we're engaging our intelligence, our emotions, our physical energy, our talents, and our time. Okay? Now, the last thing I want you to do before we open up for questions is to just take a moment and put down some short-term goals which are meaningful for you. And you can write down 1 or 2 short-term goals that you feel, this is something I'm going to do tomorrow. This is something I'm going to do the day after. Something that you can do easily in a day. Okay? And now I want you to write down some short-term goals that you can do, which can be things which are small, realistic, practical, but inspiring. It may be that you want to learn a new tune on the harmonium. It may be that you want to study a certain topic. It may be that you want to reach out to certain devotees who you want to build a relationship with. Think about it and write down some ideas, short-term goals, something that's easy to do that you can do tomorrow, the day after. And then I also want you to think about a long-term goal. It may be to complete the Bhagavatam. That may be a long-term goal. I want to complete the Bhagavatam in a year from now. And because it's a long-term goal, then I want you to also write down the short-term equivalent. So if I want to complete the Bhagavatam a year from now, then what I need to do realistically is try to set aside 30 minutes every day to read. And I know that my mind is scattered and I find it hard to focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 30 minutes of reading every day with a devotee. So tomorrow, my short-term goal is to call 1 or 2 devotees who would be into reading together on a day-to-day basis and call them and suggest the idea so we can agree and put it in our diary, and then you're off. Short-term goals that harness your energy, that make you feel, you know what, I'm progressing, I'm proactive, I'm doing something, I'm moving forward. And in that way, we harness our energies, we offer our energies, and we receive more powerful spiritual reciprocation from Krishna, to the extent that we don't just have a theory, our spiritual life starts to build upon itself. And we experience, wow, Krishna consciousness is real, it works, and I'm growing in spiritual life. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to open up for questions. Any questions or comments from those who are on the call? And if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat window. We're more than happy to reciprocate. And if there are no questions, then we'll finish the call soon. Okay. So I can't see any questions at the moment. I'm gonna go to the organizers. Is there anything else that you would like me to expand upon, or should we close the conversation or the session at this point? Sham Govinda, feel free to type anything in the ISKCON Crawley Facebook comment section, and I'll take your guidance about how to move forward. Okay, so it looks like there's no other questions. I'm not seeing any responses in the comments. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say that we'll end it here then. There's no other questions, but please do think about this. Please do think about the inner meaning of Sankirtan. That is to offer everything that I am. Krishna consciousness in one way is so simple. It is simple because it's about surrender in order to love a person that we already love but we've forgotten. It's simple because it's our natural state. It just requires us to purify ourselves. But the question is, how do I purify myself? How do I surrender? And it comes as we offer everything that we are. Remember, faith conquers fear, and faith also helps us to move forward in our lives and to experience Krishna with great focus. So faith conquers fear, and faith brings focus. So now let's move forward in our spiritual life. Let's focus and offer our energies in inspiring and exciting activities that will take us and accelerate us faster to the goal of achieving love for Krishna. Thank you very much. Wishing you well. Hare Krishna.